Jamal had always been a stellar student, known for his dedication and intelligence. He dreamed of attending a prestigious university to pursue a career in engineering. As the final semester of his senior year concluded, Jamal eagerly awaited his grades, confident that his hard work would pay off. However, his excitement turned to shock when he received a failing grade in his advanced physics class, taught by Mr. Thompson. Jamal was devastated. He had consistently performed well on tests and assignments, actively participated in class, and had even helped his classmates understand complex concepts. It didn't make sense. Determined to understand what went wrong, Jamal approached Mr. Thompson after class. "Mr. Thompson, I don't understand why I failed your class. I've done everything required and more. Can you explain?" Mr. Thompson barely glanced up from his papers, his expression indifferent. "You didn't meet the standards, Jamal. Maybe you should consider a different path," he said dismissively. Jamal felt a surge of anger and frustration. He knew this wasn't about his performance. It was about something deeper. Mr. Thompson had always treated him differently, with a condescending attitude that Jamal had initially tried to ignore. But now, it was clear. This was an act of discrimination. Realizing he wouldn't get a fair explanation, Jamal left the classroom, determined to find another way to address this injustice. He knew he had to fight back, not just for himself, but for every student who had been unfairly treated. His journey for justice was just beginning. Jamal returned home, feeling a mixture of frustration and determination. He knew he had to prove that his failing grade was unjustified. Sitting at his desk, he pulled out all his graded assignments, tests, and class notes. He meticulously reviewed each one, comparing his scores to the class average and noting any discrepancies. Over the next few days, Jamal spoke with his classmates, gathering their testimonies. Many of them were shocked to hear about his failing grade and willingly provided their own grades for comparison. It became evident that Jamal's performance was on par, if not better, than most of his peers. Jamal also met with other teachers and the school counselor, Mrs. Evans, who had always supported him. He shared his concerns and the evidence he had collected. Mrs. Evans was taken aback by the situation and promised to help him navigate the process of formally challenging the grade. Meanwhile, Jamal's parents, who had always been his pillars of support, encouraged him to keep pushing forward. They knew how hard he had worked and were determined to see justice served. With their encouragement and the mounting evidence, Jamal felt more empowered to take the next step. He decided to write a detailed letter to the school principal, outlining the evidence he had gathered and requesting a formal review of his grade. The letter was respectful yet firm, emphasizing the importance of fairness and integrity in the education system. As Jamal sent the letter, he felt a sense of resolve. This wasn't just about a grade anymore. It was about standing up against discrimination and ensuring that future students wouldn't face the same injustice. Little did he know, his actions were about to set off a chain of events that would leave a lasting impact on the school. Jamal's letter reached the principal, Mr. Thompson, who was known for his fairness and dedication to the students. After reading the letter and reviewing the evidence Jamal had provided, Mr. Thompson decided to launch a formal investigation into the matter. Mr. Thompson called a meeting with Mrs. Parker to discuss Jamal's allegations. She was defensive, insisting that Jamal's grade reflected his performance. However, Mr. Thompson was not convinced and decided to involve an independent review committee to ensure an unbiased evaluation. The review committee, composed of 3 experienced teachers from different departments, was tasked with regrading Jamal's assignments and tests. They meticulously compared his work against the grading rubrics and the performance of his classmates. It took them several days to complete the review, but their findings were clear. Jamal's work was consistent with an A student. Meanwhile, Jamal was anxiously waiting for the results. He continued to attend classes, keeping his head high despite the tension that filled the air. His classmates, aware of the ongoing review, offered their support, further strengthening his resolve. When the review committee presented their findings to Mr. Thompson, he knew he had to act swiftly. The evidence was irrefutable. Jamal had been unfairly graded. Mr. Thompson called Jamal and his parents to his office to inform them of the committee's decision. Jamal's grade was officially changed to an A, reflecting his true performance. But Mr. Thompson knew this wasn't enough. He scheduled a meeting with the school board to address the deeper issue of racial bias. Mrs. Parker would have to answer for her actions, and the school needed to implement measures to prevent such discrimination in the future. Jamal felt a sense of relief and validation, but he also knew this was just the beginning. He had stood up for himself, and now he had the chance to make a difference for others as well. The coming days would be crucial, not only for him but for the entire school community. The day of the meeting with the school board arrived. The atmosphere at the school was tense, with whispers and speculation spreading like wildfire. Jamal, accompanied by his parents, walked through the hallways with a sense of purpose. This was his moment to stand up not just for himself, but for all students who might face similar discrimination. In the boardroom, a long, polished table stretched across the room, surrounded by stern-faced board members and a few teachers, including Mrs. Parker, who looked notably uncomfortable. Mr. Thompson, the principal, began the meeting by outlining the findings of the Independent Review Committee, presenting clear evidence of Jamal's academic excellence. Jamal's grades were unfairly manipulated, Mr. Thompson stated firmly. This behavior goes against the core values of our educational institution. Mrs. Parker, visibly flustered, tried to defend herself. I was simply following the grading criteria, she claimed, her voice shaking. There was no bias in my decisions. Mr. Thompson handed out copies of Jamal's graded assignments, highlighting the discrepancies in her grading. The evidence speaks for itself, Mrs. Parker, he said, his tone leaving no room for doubt. Jamal's father stood up, his voice calm but resolute. My son's future was jeopardized by prejudice. We demand accountability and assurance that this will not happen to any other student. The board members nodded, clearly moved by the evidence and the strong stance taken by Jamal and his family. The head of the board, Mrs. Andrews, turned to Mrs. Parker. This institution cannot tolerate any form of discrimination. Mrs. Parker, you will be placed on administrative leave while we conduct a thorough investigation into your conduct. Mrs. Parker's face turned pale. She knew the gravity of the situation and the consequences she faced. Jamal, feeling a mix of relief and triumph, realized the importance of this moment. He had not only cleared his name, but also taken a significant step towards addressing systemic issues within the school. As the meeting concluded, Mr. Thompson addressed the entire board and attendees. This incident highlights the need for better training and awareness to prevent such occurrences. We will implement mandatory bias training for all staff and establish a committee to ensure fairness and equality in our grading system. Jamal's parents expressed their gratitude to the board and Mr. Thompson for their swift action. Jamal, though relieved, knew there was more to be done. He had become a symbol of resilience and justice, inspiring other students to speak up against injustice. The school community began to rally around Jamal, recognizing the importance of his actions. Students and teachers alike started discussing ways to promote a more inclusive and fair environment, ensuring that every student had an equal opportunity to succeed. As Jamal walked out of the boardroom, he felt a sense of accomplishment and hope. This experience had changed him, making him more determined than ever to continue advocating for justice and equality. The road ahead was still challenging, but Jamal knew he had the support of his family, friends, and many others who believed in his cause. The school's administration wasted no time in starting the investigation into Mrs. Parker's actions. An external committee was brought in to ensure impartiality, consisting of educational professionals, legal experts, and community leaders. They meticulously reviewed Jamal's assignments, tests, and projects, comparing them to the grading rubrics and the work of other students. Jamal's classmates were interviewed as well, many of whom came forward with their own stories of unfair treatment. They recounted instances where they felt their work was judged more harshly compared to their peers, especially when it came to subjective assignments like essays and projects. As the investigation progressed, more evidence of Mrs. Parker's biased grading came to light. The committee found consistent patterns where students of color received lower grades despite demonstrating a clear understanding of the material. This not only validated Jamal's claims, but also highlighted a broader issue within the classroom. Meanwhile, Jamal continued to attend school, his head held high. The support from his peers and teachers who believed in his cause kept him motivated. He knew that standing up against discrimination was not just about his own grades, but about ensuring fairness and equality for everyone. One day, as Jamal was walking through the hallways, he was approached by Mrs. Johnson, a senior teacher known for her dedication to student success. "I want you to know that what you're doing is incredibly brave," she said, her voice filled with genuine respect. "We need more students like you who are willing to stand up for what's right." Jamal felt a surge of gratitude. "Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. I just want to make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else." In the meantime, the investigation's findings were shared with the school board and the administration. The evidence was damning. Mrs. Parker had not only failed to follow fair grading practices, but had also displayed a clear pattern of bias against certain students. The committee recommended immediate disciplinary action. Mr. Thompson called for another meeting with the board, teachers, and key stakeholders in the school community to discuss the findings. This meeting was critical, not just for addressing Mrs. Parker's actions, but for setting a precedent on how the school would handle such issues in the future. As Jamal prepared for the meeting, he reflected on the journey so far. He realized that his fight for justice had sparked a broader conversation about equity and fairness in education. Students who had previously felt powerless now saw that they could make a difference. Jamal's story was no longer just his own. It had become a catalyst for change. When the day of the meeting arrived, Jamal and his parents walked into the boardroom with a sense of purpose. They were greeted by supportive nods from teachers and community members who had rallied behind their cause. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation. Mr. Thompson began the meeting by presenting the investigation's findings. He spoke with conviction, detailing the evidence of biased grading and unfair treatment. "This behavior is unacceptable and goes against the very principles of our educational system," he declared. The head of the committee, Dr. Harris, addressed the board next. "Our investigation has revealed a clear pattern of discrimination. It is imperative that we take immediate action to rectify this situation and prevent it from happening again." Jamal listened intently, feeling a mix of relief and determination. This was the moment he had fought for, the moment when justice would be served and systemic change would begin. As the meeting progressed, the board members discussed the recommendations from the investigation committee. It was clear that they were committed to addressing the issue head-on. The decision was made to terminate Mrs. Parker's employment and to implement mandatory bias training for all staff members. Jamal's parents expressed their gratitude to the board and the committee for their thorough investigation and decisive action. "This is not just about our son," Jamal's mother said. "It's about creating a fair and just environment for all students." The meeting concluded with a renewed sense of purpose. The school had taken a significant step towards ensuring equity and fairness, and Jamal had become a symbol of courage and resilience. As he walked out of the boardroom, he knew that his journey was far from over, but he felt a sense of accomplishment and hope for the future. Jamal's fight for justice had not only changed his own life, but had also inspired others to stand up against discrimination. It was a powerful reminder that one person's courage could spark a movement, creating a ripple effect of positive change. The news of the investigation's findings and the subsequent actions taken by the school spread quickly. It was a momentous event for the school and the community. The administration arranged a special assembly to address the students, staff, and parents, emphasizing their commitment to fostering a fair and inclusive environment. The auditorium was packed as everyone gathered for the assembly. There was an air of anticipation and tension as people waited to hear what would be said. Mr. Thompson took the stage first, addressing the audience with a somber expression. "Today, we are here to discuss a matter of utmost importance," he began. "Our school strives to provide a safe, nurturing, and equitable environment for all our students. Unfortunately, we have discovered that we fell short of this goal. I want to assure you all that we are taking significant steps to correct these wrongs and ensure they do not happen again." He detailed the findings of the investigation and the actions taken, including the termination of Mrs. Parker and the implementation of mandatory bias training for all staff members. He also announced the creation of a new position focused on diversity and inclusion to help guide the school in fostering a more equitable environment. Jamal sat in the audience with his parents, listening intently. He felt a mixture of vindication and sadness. The changes were necessary, but the journey had been difficult and painful. Mr. Thompson then invited Mrs. Parker to the stage. She looked visibly nervous, her usual confident demeanor replaced by a more humble and contrite expression. The room fell silent as she took the microphone. "I stand before you today deeply remorseful for my actions," Mrs. Parker began, her voice trembling. "I failed in my duty as an educator to treat all students fairly and equally. My actions were inexcusable, and I am truly sorry for the pain I have caused." She looked directly at Jamal, her eyes filled with regret. "Jamal, I owe you the deepest apology. You are a brilliant student, and you deserved better from me. I let my biases cloud my judgment, and for that, I am profoundly sorry." Jamal felt a surge of emotion as he listened to her words. It took a lot for her to apologize publicly, and while it didn't erase the pain, it was a step towards healing. Mrs. Parker continued, addressing the entire student body. "I hope that my mistakes can serve as a lesson for all of us. We must strive to see each other for who we truly are, and not let our prejudices dictate our actions. I will spend the rest of my life making amends for the harm I have caused." As she stepped down from the stage, the audience remained silent, absorbing the gravity of her words. Mr. Thompson returned to the podium, expressing his hope that the school community could come together to heal and grow from this experience. After the assembly, many students and teachers approached Jamal to offer their support and admiration for his bravery. It was a heartwarming moment for him, realizing that his actions had made a significant impact on his community. Later that day, as Jamal was walking through the school halls, Mrs. Parker approached him privately. Jamal, I know my apology can't undo the hurt I caused, but I want you to know that I am committed to change. If there's anything I can do to help you in any way, please let me know." Jamal looked at her, seeing the sincerity in her eyes. "Thank you, Mrs. Parker. I hope you take this opportunity to learn and grow. Everyone deserves a second chance to do better." With that, they parted ways, each with their own journey of reflection and growth ahead of them. Jamal felt a sense of closure, knowing that he had stood up for what was right and that change was happening. He hoped that his actions would inspire others to speak out against injustice and work towards a more inclusive and equitable world. With the school administration's changes and Mrs. Parker's public apology, Jamal felt a new sense of possibility. It wasn't just about correcting the past. It was about creating a future where students like him wouldn't have to face the same struggles. One morning, a few weeks after the assembly, Jamal was called to Mr. Thompson's office. With a mix of curiosity and a bit of anxiety, he made his way there, wondering what this meeting could be about. "Come in, Jamal," Mr. Thompson greeted him warmly. "Please, have a seat." Jamal sat down, feeling the comfortable weight of Mr. Thompson's attention on him. The principal seemed genuinely pleased, which eased Jamal's initial nerves. "I wanted to speak with you about something important," Mr. Thompson began. "Your courage and perseverance have not gone unnoticed, and I believe you have a bright future ahead of you. In light of recent events, several opportunities have opened up that I think you should consider." Jamal leaned forward, intrigued. "What kind of opportunities?" Mr. Thompson smiled. "First, there's a summer program at a prestigious university that focuses on leadership and social justice. They offer a full scholarship, and I believe you'd be an excellent candidate." Jamal's eyes widened. "Really? That sounds amazing." "Yes," Mr. Thompson continued. "I've already spoken to your parents, and they fully support this idea. It's a fantastic opportunity for you to expand your horizons and meet other students who share your passion for making a difference." The principal handed Jamal a brochure for the program. The more Jamal read, the more excited he became. It was everything he could have hoped for and more, a chance to learn, grow, and make a real impact. "But that's not all," Mr. Thompson added. "I've also spoken to several community leaders and businesses, and they're interested in supporting your future endeavors. Scholarships, internships, even mentorships. Doors are opening for you, Jamal." Jamal felt overwhelmed, in the best possible way. "I don't know what to say, Mr. Thompson. Thank you. Thank you so much." "You earned it, Jamal," Mr. Thompson said warmly. "Your bravery and integrity have inspired us all. I have no doubt that you'll continue to do great things." Leaving the principal's office, Jamal felt like he was walking on air. He couldn't wait to share the news with his friends and family. It felt like all the hardships he had endured were finally paying off in ways he had never imagined. That evening, Jamal's parents sat down with him to discuss the summer program and the other opportunities that had come his way. They were beaming with pride, and Jamal could see how much it meant to them to see him thriving. "We're so proud of you, Jamal," his mother said, tears of joy in her eyes. "You've shown everyone what you're capable of, and this is just the beginning." Jamal's father nodded in agreement. "You've got a bright future ahead of you, son, and we'll be with you every step of the way." Jamal felt a warmth in his chest that he hadn't felt in a long time. He knew that the journey ahead wouldn't be easy, but with the support of his family, friends, and the opportunities now available to him, he felt ready to take on whatever challenges came his way. As he lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, Jamal thought about how far he had come. From being humiliated and underestimated to standing up and inspiring change, he had discovered a strength within himself that he didn't know he had. And now, he was ready to embrace the future, confident in his ability to make a difference. This was his new beginning, and he couldn't wait to see where it would lead him. As summer approached, Jamal prepared for his upcoming program at the prestigious university. The weeks leading up to his departure were filled with anticipation and a flurry of activity. Jamal researched the program, connected with other participants online, and made sure he was ready for this new chapter in his life. The day finally arrived, and Jamal's family drove him to the university campus. The towering buildings and bustling atmosphere filled him with excitement. This was a world full of opportunities, and Jamal was eager to dive in. "Remember to call us if you need anything," his mother said, hugging him tightly. His father clapped him on the shoulder. "We're proud of you, son. Make the most of this experience." Jamal nodded, a mix of nerves and excitement bubbling inside him. "I will. Thank you both for everything." After saying their goodbyes, Jamal checked in and found his dorm room. He quickly settled in, meeting his roommate, Carlos, who was from a different part of the country. The two quickly bonded over their shared excitement for the program. The first day was an orientation session, where the program coordinators outlined what to expect over the summer. They emphasized the importance of leadership, community engagement, and academic excellence. Jamal felt a surge of determination. This was his chance to prove himself. Classes began the next day, and Jamal was immediately struck by the diversity and talent of his peers. Each session was engaging and thought-provoking, pushing Jamal to think critically and expand his horizons. He thrived in this environment, eagerly participating in discussions and group projects. One of the most impactful experiences was a workshop on social justice and activism. The guest speaker, a renowned civil rights leader, shared powerful stories of resilience and change. Jamal was inspired, realizing that his experiences and voice could contribute to the ongoing fight for equality. Throughout the summer, Jamal formed close bonds with his fellow participants. They spent long hours studying together, sharing their dreams and challenges. These friendships became a source of strength and support, reinforcing Jamal's belief in the power of community. As the program neared its end, each participant was required to present a project that addressed a social issue they were passionate about. Jamal decided to focus on educational equity, drawing from his own experiences and the systemic challenges he had witnessed. His presentation was met with enthusiastic applause and praise. The program coordinators were impressed by his insight and dedication, encouraging him to continue his advocacy work beyond the summer program. On the final day, there was a closing ceremony where participants received certificates of completion. Jamal's heart swelled with pride as he stood among his peers, each of them ready to make a difference in their communities. As he walked across the stage to receive his certificate, Jamal felt a profound sense of accomplishment. This summer had been transformative, shaping him into a confident and driven young man. He was ready to return home and continue his journey, armed with new knowledge, skills, and a network of like-minded individuals. Returning home, Jamal found his community buzzing with curiosity about his experience. He eagerly shared stories of his summer, inspiring others with his newfound passion and determination. He reconnected with his friends and mentors, eager to apply what he had learned. Jamal's summer of growth had given him the tools and confidence to pursue his dreams. He knew there would be challenges ahead, but he felt ready to face them head-on. With the support of his family, friends, and community, Jamal was determined to continue his journey of making a difference. This was just the beginning of a new chapter in Jamal's life, one where he would use his voice and experiences to create a brighter future for himself and those around him. Returning home after the transformative summer program, Jamal felt like a new person. The knowledge and experiences he gained had reshaped his perspective on life, and he was eager to put his newfound skills and insights to use. The first thing he did was reconnect with his family. They gathered in the living room, eager to hear all about his time at the university. Jamal shared stories of his classes, the friends he made, and the projects he worked on. His parents listened intently, pride evident in their eyes. "You've grown so much, Jamal," his mother said, her voice filled with emotion. "We always knew you had it in you." His father nodded in agreement. "I'm proud of you, son. You've shown what hard work and determination can achieve." Jamal smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for his family's unwavering support. "Thank you, both of you. I couldn't have done it without your encouragement." But Jamal's mind was already racing with ideas for his next steps. He wanted to make a tangible impact in his community, especially in the realm of education. He reached out to Ms. Hernandez, his former teacher and mentor, who had always believed in his potential. "Ms. Hernandez, I have so many ideas I want to discuss with you," Jamal said excitedly when they met at a local cafe. Ms. Hernandez beamed at him. "I can't wait to hear them, Jamal. Tell me everything." Jamal shared his plans for organizing workshops and tutoring sessions for students who were struggling. He talked about creating a mentorship program that paired high-achieving students with those who needed extra support. Ms. Hernandez listened with rapt attention, offering advice and suggestions. "These are fantastic ideas, Jamal," she said. "I'll help you in any way I can. The school needs initiatives like this, and I'm sure the students will benefit immensely." With Ms. Hernandez's support, Jamal set to work. He spent days planning and organizing, reaching out to other students who might be interested in volunteering. He used social media to spread the word, explaining his vision and inviting others to join him. To his delight, many students expressed interest in getting involved. They held their first meeting in the school library, where Jamal shared his experiences from the summer program and outlined his plans. "We all have the power to make a difference," Jamal said, his voice filled with passion. "Together, we can create a supportive community where everyone has the chance to succeed." The group worked tirelessly over the next few weeks. They organized tutoring sessions, with older students helping younger ones with their studies. They arranged workshops on study skills, time management, and college preparation. The mentorship program paired students based on their strengths and needs, fostering a sense of camaraderie and support. As the program grew, word spread throughout the school and the community. Parents and teachers were impressed by the positive changes they saw in the students. Jamal's efforts were making a real difference, and the school was becoming a more inclusive and supportive environment. One day, as Jamal was walking through the school hallways, he ran into Mr. Thompson, the teacher who had failed him. Mr. Thompson looked at Jamal with a mixture of surprise and something else: respect. "Jamal, can we talk for a moment?" Mr. Thompson asked. Jamal nodded, curious about what Mr. Thompson had to say. They stepped into an empty classroom, and Mr. Thompson closed the door behind them. "I've been hearing a lot about what you've been doing," Mr. Thompson began, his voice softer than Jamal remembered. "I want to apologize for how I treated you. I was wrong, and I see now how much potential you have." Jamal felt a surge of emotions. He had never expected to hear these words from Mr. Thompson. "Thank you," Jamal said, his voice steady. I appreciate that. Mr. Thompson nodded. If there's anything I can do to help with your program, please let me know. I want to make things right. Jamal smiled. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. We could always use more support. As Jamal left the classroom, he felt a sense of closure. The teacher who had once doubted him was now offering support. It was a testament to how much had changed, and how much he had changed. Jamal's journey was far from over, but he knew he was on the right path. With the support of his family, friends, and even former skeptics like Mr. Thompson, he was determined to continue making a difference. With the school support and the momentum from his initial success, Jamal decided it was time to launch his first major project, a community learning center. He envisioned a place where students could come after school to study, receive tutoring, and engage in enrichment activities. Jamal presented his idea to the school board, his hands slightly trembling with nerves, but his voice clear and confident. He had spent weeks preparing his proposal, outlining the benefits, potential costs, and the positive impact it could have on the community. Imagine a place where students not only catch up on their schoolwork but also learn new skills, explore their interests, and build a brighter future, Jamal said, his eyes shining with passion. This learning center can be that place. The board members listened intently, occasionally nodding in agreement. When Jamal finished his presentation, the room was silent for a moment. Then, the board chairperson spoke up. Jamal, this is an ambitious project, but it's clear you've thought it through. We're impressed by your dedication and vision. We will support you in making this learning center a reality. Jamal felt a wave of relief and excitement wash over him. Thank you so much, he said, his voice full of gratitude. I won't let you down. With the school board's approval, Jamal got to work. He gathered a team of volunteers, including students, teachers, and community members, who were all eager to help bring the learning center to life. They found a vacant building near the school that could be renovated for their needs. Every day after school, Jamal and his team worked tirelessly on the building. They painted walls, assembled furniture, and set up computers. Local businesses donated supplies and funds, inspired by Jamal's determination and the positive buzz his project was generating. One Saturday, as they were finishing up the renovations, Jamal's parents stopped by to see the progress. They walked through the bright, welcoming rooms, their eyes wide with pride and amazement. "This is incredible, Jamal," his father said, his voice choked with emotion. "You've created something truly special here." Jamal smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. "It's been a team effort," he said, looking around at the volunteers who were now like family to him. "I couldn't have done it without everyone's support." As the opening day of the Learning Center approached, Jamal and his team planned a grand opening event. They invited the entire community, hoping to show them the valuable resource they had created together. The day of the grand opening dawned sunny and bright. Jamal stood at the entrance of the Learning Center, greeting guests with a beaming smile. Students, parents, teachers, and local residents streamed in, marveling at the transformation of the once empty building. During the ceremony, Ms. Hernandez gave a heartfelt speech about Jamal's journey and the impact of the Learning Center. "Jamal's vision and perseverance have given our community a gift," she said, her voice filled with pride. "This Learning Center is a testament to what can be achieved when we believe in each other and work together." When it was Jamal's turn to speak, he took a deep breath, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement. He looked out at the crowd, seeing so many familiar faces, friends, family, and even Mr. Thompson, standing near the back with a respectful nod. "Thank you all for being here," Jamal began, his voice steady. This learning center is not just a place for education. It's a symbol of what we can achieve together. I want every student to know that their dreams are possible, no matter what obstacles they face. This center is here to support you, to help you grow, and to remind you that you are capable of great things. The audience erupted in applause, and Jamal felt a surge of pride and joy. He had turned his experiences, the challenges, the failures, and the triumphs, into something meaningful that would benefit his community for years to come. As the event continued, Jamal mingled with the guests, answering questions about the programs the Learning Center would offer and listening to their ideas for future initiatives. He felt an overwhelming sense of community and connection, knowing that they were all invested in this project's success. Later that evening, after the guests had left and the excitement had settled, Jamal stood in the quiet learning center, reflecting on the journey that had brought him here. From being a student who faced discrimination to becoming a leader in his community, he had come a long way. With a grateful heart and a renewed sense of purpose, Jamal knew that this was just the beginning. The Learning Center was a foundation for many more projects and initiatives that would continue to uplift and inspire others. He was ready for the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead, confident in his ability to make a lasting impact. The future was bright, and Jamal was determined to shine his light as far and wide as possible, ensuring that no student ever felt alone or unsupported in their quest for knowledge and success. The success and impact of the Community Learning Center soon began to attract media attention. Local newspapers and television stations were eager to cover the story of a young man who had turned adversity into a beacon of hope for his community. One morning, Jamal received a phone call from a well-known journalist from the city's major newspaper. The journalist, intrigued by the buzz surrounding the Learning Center, requested an interview to discuss Jamal's journey and the mission of the center. "Mr. Johnson, your story is incredibly inspiring," the journalist said. "We'd love to share it with our readers. Would you be available for an interview tomorrow?" Jamal agreed, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. He knew that this was an opportunity to reach an even wider audience and inspire others who might be facing similar struggles. The next day, the journalist arrived at the Learning Center with a photographer. Jamal gave them a tour, explaining the different programs and resources available to students. The journalist was visibly impressed by the vibrant atmosphere and the dedication of the volunteers. During the interview, Jamal spoke candidly about his experiences, the challenges he had faced, and the support he had received from his community. He emphasized the importance of education and mentorship in empowering young people to achieve their dreams. "Education is the key to breaking down barriers," Jamal said. "It's not just about learning facts and figures. It's about gaining the confidence and skills to navigate the world and make a positive impact." The journalist listened intently, taking notes and asking thoughtful questions. When the interview concluded, she thanked Jamal and promised to highlight the remarkable work being done at the Learning Center. A few days later, the article was published with the headline, "From Discrimination to Dedication: How One Young Man Transformed His Community." The story was accompanied by photos of Jamal and the bustling Learning Center, capturing the essence of their mission. The response from the public was overwhelming. Letters and emails poured in, praising Jamal's efforts and expressing admiration for his resilience. Many offered donations and volunteered their time to support the Learning Center. Among the messages, one stood out. It was from a former classmate who had also experienced discrimination in school. "Reading your story gave me hope," the classmate wrote. "Thank you for showing me that it's possible to overcome and make a difference." Jamal felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He had always hoped to inspire others, and now he could see the tangible impact of his work. The media attention not only brought more resources to the Learning Center, but also sparked important conversations about equity and inclusion. With the influx of support, Jamal and his team were able to expand their programs, offering new workshops and resources to meet the growing demand. They introduced career counseling, college prep courses, and even partnered with local businesses to provide internships for students. The Learning Center became a hub of activity, bustling with energy and enthusiasm. Students from all backgrounds came together to learn, grow, and support each other. The community felt a renewed sense of unity and purpose. Jamal continued to share his story, speaking at schools, community centers, and conferences. He used every platform to advocate for educational equity and to inspire others to take action in their own communities. One evening, after a long day of work, Jamal received a phone call from Ms. Hernandez. She had seen the newspaper article and wanted to congratulate him on his success. "Jamal, I'm so proud of you," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "You've achieved so much and helped so many people. You're a true leader." Jamal smiled, feeling a wave of gratitude. "Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. I couldn't have done it without your support and encouragement." As they talked, Jamal reflected on how far he had come. The journey had been challenging, but every obstacle had strengthened his resolve and deepened his commitment to making a difference. As the sun set on the city, casting a warm glow over the Learning Center, Jamal felt a profound sense of peace and accomplishment. He knew that the work was far from over, but he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. With the support of his community and the strength of his convictions, Jamal was determined to continue his mission of empowering others and creating a brighter future for all. News of Jamal's achievements and the positive impact of the Community Learning Center reached every corner of the city, including the halls of his old school. Among those who read the article and watched the television interviews was Mr. Thompson, Jamal's former teacher. Sitting in his living room, Mr. Thompson stared at the newspaper headline, "From Discrimination to Dedication: How One Young Man Transformed His Community." As he read Jamal's story, guilt washed over him. The memories of how he had treated Jamal came flooding back, and he felt a deep sense of regret. The next morning, Mr. Thompson walked into his classroom with a heavy heart. He looked at his students, each one full of potential, and realized how wrong he had been to let his prejudices cloud his judgment. He knew he had to make amends. That afternoon, Mr. Thompson gathered the courage to visit the Community Learning Center. When he arrived, he saw children and teenagers engaged in various activities, studying, reading, and participating in workshops. The atmosphere was vibrant and filled with hope. Jamal was at the center, helping a group of students with their math problems. When he looked up and saw Mr. Thompson standing at the entrance, his expression shifted from surprise to curiosity. Jamal excused himself from the group and walked over to his former teacher. "Mr. Thompson," Jamal greeted him, unsure of what to expect. "What brings you here?" Mr. Thompson took a deep breath, his eyes filled with remorse. "Jamal, I owe you an apology. I was wrong to treat you the way I did. I let my prejudices and ignorance get in the way of seeing your potential. Reading about your accomplishments made me realize how unfair and harmful my actions were." Jamal listened, his expression softening as he saw the sincerity in Mr. Thompson's eyes. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson," he said quietly. "It means a lot to hear you say that." Mr. Thompson continued, "I see now how important it is to support and encourage every student, regardless of their background. I want to learn from my mistakes and do better. If there's any way I can help here at the center, I'd like to offer my assistance." Jamal was taken aback by the offer. He never expected Mr. Thompson to come to him with such humility and a genuine desire to change. After a moment of contemplation, he nodded. "We could always use more volunteers, especially experienced educators. Your help would be appreciated." Mr. Thompson smiled, a weight lifting off his shoulders. "Thank you, Jamal. I look forward to contributing." Over the following weeks, Mr. Thompson became a regular volunteer at the Learning Center. He tutored students, helped develop new educational programs, and even started a mentorship initiative to provide additional support for students facing challenges similar to what Jamal had experienced. The presence of Mr. Thompson at the Learning Center had a profound impact. Not only did it bring valuable educational expertise, but it also demonstrated to the students that people can change and learn from their mistakes. It showed that redemption and growth are possible for anyone willing to take responsibility for their actions and work towards positive change. One evening, as the center was closing for the day, Jamal and Mr. Thompson sat down to talk. They reflected on their journey and the unexpected turn of events that had brought them back into each other's lives. "You know, Mr. Thompson," Jamal said thoughtfully, "if it weren't for the challenges I faced, I might never have found the strength and determination to create this center. In a way, everything that happened led me to where I am now." Mr. Thompson nodded, his eyes filled with admiration for Jamal. "You've turned adversity into opportunity, Jamal. You've inspired so many people, including me. Thank you for giving me the chance to be a part of this." As they shook hands, a sense of mutual respect and understanding passed between them. They had both grown and changed, each in their own way, and now they were united in their commitment to making a difference. The Community Learning Center continued to flourish, touching countless lives and creating a legacy of empowerment and education. And at the heart of it all was the powerful story of a young man who refused to be defined by discrimination, and a teacher who found redemption through humility and change. As the sun set on another successful day at the Learning Center, Jamal looked around, feeling a profound sense of accomplishment and hope. The journey had been long and challenging, but it had also been filled with moments of triumph and transformation. With the support of his community, the dedication of volunteers like Mr. Thompson, and the unwavering belief in the power of education and empathy, Jamal knew that the future was bright. Together, they would continue to build a world where everyone had the opportunity to succeed and where compassion and understanding prevailed.